What's up, everybody? All right, so this episode of Beverly Hills, it was probably their best one yet. This season's been a little lackluster for me. We'll talk about it, but they have had better seasons. But this episode picked up. I really did actually enjoy it, and I actually watched it more than one time. Because one, I'm trying to get these recaps going, but two, I actually didn't mind watching it more than once, whereas the rest of the season, I didn't really care. But anyways, let's get into this season. I think this is a turning point. I hope that it's a turning point because I'm ready for Kyle to actually work. This chick has been coasting for years. She's probably the laziest OG that we've had in recent times. Yes, she's one of the last standing, but her experience, if you compare it to like Teresa's experience as the other last standing OG from Jersey, two very different experiences. Teresa is constantly on the hot seat. I'm not saying it's not deserved, but Teresa is constantly on the hot seat. She obviously shares a lot of what's happening. Obviously, she had shared, her legal troubles and things like that. Like, Kyle has been coasting, and she said in the last reunion, I've had my family on the show. I raised my kids on the show. But girl, we don't know your story. You're using all of these like outside things like, oh, my kid's going to college. Okay. Oh, my sister's mad at me. All right. Like, but what about you, Kyle? What is your story? And so she, in my opinion, has been coasting. In my opinion, has been having this first seat at the reunion and hasn't deserved it in years. And I'm ready for these girls to get her to work. So I am praying that this season is the turning point and we start getting some work out of Kyle because we haven't seen it in a very long time. So anyway, this episode is season 14, episode 7. It's called What the Chuck? And I think that was a cute name. So I did write some notes for this. I only watched it twice, unlike the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, and I feel like I watched that like 5 times. Don't judge me. I've only watched this episode twice of Beverly Hills. I did take notes. I'm going to kind of go through step by step. If I'm looking off, that's because I'm just checking my notes and making sure I'm not missing anything. But let's go ahead and jump into it, shall we? All right, so this episode opens up with the ladies still in the Viper room. So if you recall the last episode has started getting heated between Dorit and Kyle because Dorit had asked Kyle if she still communicates with PK. Kyle said yes, and they start kind of going back and forth. So Kyle claims it's only been memes and jokes, and like right in the beginning, she's like, I told you I won't text him anymore. What more do you want from me? Veins popping, looking crazy. And I would have been like, girl, who are you talking to? Pipe down. Let's bring it down. Get that bass out your voice. Stop cursing. Who are you talking to, Kyle? I don't know. Kyle got the right one. So she's up here getting all buck. Like, that's not how you apologize. If you really felt bad, if you really meant it, if that girl was ever half of your friend, we all know you said she was never your good friend, but if she was ever half of your friend, a real apology would be like, yeah, we do talk and my bad. Like, I'm so sorry that hurt you. I did not try to hurt you. I was just still cool with him. I am so sorry that hurt you. Hey, I'm going to step out of it. I won't do it anymore. My bad. I'm so sorry. Like, if you truly didn't care and you truly didn't mean it, that's what it would sound like. Like, she was really defensive, and I was like, pipe down and get that bass out your voice, like I said. So then that incites Dorit even more. And Kyle's like, what more do you have at me? And Kyle's like, I want you to stop yelling at me. You don't get to yell at me anymore. The rules are different now. I said, get it. And mind you, I don't like Dorit. I don't like Dorit. I haven't liked her in the past few seasons. I do think that she was throwing up microaggressions. I do think she has an air of phoniness. But in this Kyle versus Dorit, I am on Dorit's side for the most part. There are some things I'm like, okay, you're doing a bit much. But for the most part, I am Team Dorit for this. So she's like, stop yelling at me. And at one point, she kind of like lunges for her, and Sutton throws her hands up. She's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Erica jumps in and kind of like pulls Dorit back. And then Kyle repeats herself as if she's talking to a 5-year-old and was like, what? Like, I said, I'm going to stop talking to him. Okay? I'm done. I'm done. Who are you talking to, Kyle? Who are you talking to? Who are you talking to? So then, and then in the confessional, she's like, you know, Dorit doesn't genuinely feel this way. Like, she just wants to make me look bad. And I was like, no, not really. I think that's a normal reaction of how I would feel. Like, that's a legit reaction. So no. Is there a tiny bit of a desire to like drum up some drama because Dorit is forever on the chopping block? Sure. But this is legit. Like, it's a legit reason to drum up some drama. So then Garcelle was like, you know, I feel like you were going to say something about your relationship with PK. She says this to Dorit. She's like, you know, I feel like you were about to say something and then things kind of got off the rails. So like, you know, how are you doing? I was like, and I like Garcelle. She is bugging me this season. And I don't know if it's the editing, because I know a lot of people are feeling that way too. And I don't know if the editors are like, okay, Sutton and Garcelle have been the fan favorites for however many years. Let's give them like a not so favorable edit. I don't know, but I'm like, oh girl, you are just like wrong timing. And it's like, why do you care? If you don't like Dorit, you have said multiple times you don't care for her. And mind you, you have a reason to not care for her. You have a reason to not care for her. But if I was around someone who I thought had microaggressions towards me, who I didn't like, who I thought talked too much, who got on my nerves, who I wasn't sure if I wanted to be friends with, if I had to be around that person, I wouldn't talk to them. I would want them to stay away from me, which Dorit has been doing. And I would pay them dust, and I would want them to pay me dust, and maybe we can be cordial. But other than that, I wouldn't be asking them personal questions about a terrible time that's happening in their life right now. It just seems so disingenuous. Like, what do you mean, how are you? When you couldn't even pick up the phone to text her when you saw news of the separation. She said Garcelle never reached out to her. And like, you couldn't send a one-on-one, hey, thinking about you, I'm so sorry, let me know if you need anything. Or just thinking of you, I'm so sorry about the news. Text, but in front of a table at this very awkward moment when they're about to like go after each other, you're like, so how are you doing? Girl, what? So she asked that, and then Dorit's like, Garcelle, do you really mean it? Do you really mean it? She didn't say it like that, like emphatically, but she was like, are you serious right now? Like, are you asking genuinely? And Garcelle's like, yeah, like Garcelle's like befuddled. She's like, yeah, like why wouldn't it? Why wouldn't I mean it? And she's like, well, like, it's a weird thing. That's a weird timing. Like, I forget if Dorit like said that in her, she might have said it in her confessional, like, this is weird. Why are you just now talking to me in 2 years at this very moment? It's awkward. It's read the room. So she said that in her confessional. And then Dorit like Garcelle got defensive and was like, oh my gosh, am I next? Am I next? And I was like, I felt like she was baiting her. Like, you know, she's already in a heightened, her emotions are already heightened. And you're just like, am I next? Like, are you, like, you want her to like fly off the handle. So I'm glad that Dorit didn't even fall into it. She didn't give her that moment, and she just left. And Dorit was like, no, I'm out of here. I can't stomach this. Like, good luck. So, So she leaves. Then Sutton starts like caping for Kyle and was like, she's like, Bose tries to play like devil's advocate for Dorit. And like, I appreciate it. I mean, it's natural to like stand up for a friend. I just don't want her to fall into, I don't want this to be her only role this season. I don't want Bose's only like purpose this season to be like Dorit's like protector or like mouthpiece or anything like that. I really, really want, I think it's great if they genuinely like each other and connect, but I really want Bose to be able to stand on her own and make other relationships in the group. And more importantly, just have her own identity outside, which she very much does. I realize she's very accomplished and she is beautiful. And she has her own identity in life, but just like on this show, in the kind of like sphere of this show, who is Bose? And I don't want it to be relegated to, oh, that's Dorit's friend. Like, I don't want that. I want her to be like, no, that's Bose. She brings this and she does that and she does, like, because I know she can do it. At least I feel like she can. So anyway, so that's my only thing. Like, so she started kind of like playing some devil's advocate and was like, honestly, Dorit was just trying to figure out if Kyle was at fault. And then here comes Sutton. Well, she's not. She didn't do anything. And I'm like, Sutton, you keep flip-flopping, because at one point earlier you said, I think she said she wouldn't have a problem, or like she doesn't see anything wrong with her texting PK. And I think she's basically saying now she didn't do anything wrong. But then later on in the episode, she's like, yeah, I would be hurt if that was me. Like, pick one. Sutton's getting on my nerves too. I did appreciate her in this episode for what she said to Kyle, but she's bugging me this season as well. Like, I don't know what's happening with my girls. So, and Sutton bugs me to the point of like, on two fronts. One front, clearly Kyle is not her friend. Kyle treats her like crap, and she keeps putting up with it, and she keeps like accepting it and like not bending over backwards, but like you keep going out of your way to be a friend to Kyle, and Kyle doesn't do that to you. Kyle gives you her ass to kiss 99% of the time, unless she needs an ally, at least unless she needs like backup. But when Kyle is like secure and where she is and what she's doing, she's like, you're the butt of the joke. Like, she's attacking you half the time or just giving you like little jabs. And Kyle's been a terrible friend to Sutton, at least from what we've seen on the show. Maybe there's a completely different story behind the scenes, but what these I see on the show, you're terrible, Kyle, to Sutton. And I just wish like Sutton would have more of a backbone. Like, I'm starting to see, or I've seen in some previews, I didn't see the whole like preview, but I saw it might have been like the season trailer, I don't know, but there was something where Sutton was like, oh, we're not bowing down to the altar of Kyle Richards. We'll see if she sticks to it, because she always like stands up for herself and then she cowers and she doesn't like take it all the way there. And that's my second gripe with her, is that I think she's so good in this season most of the time, and she like stands up for herself. She kind of like assesses situations accurately, or at least I agree with her assessment. We at least have, similar opinions on a lot of things. And I like how she, went up against Erica and was like I like that she can rise up and really be strong and help drive the story. But then at the reunion, I feel like she always tanks it. And she's always like, it doesn't fully get there. And I just want to be like, take it there. You have to finish strong. And I feel like she always fizzles out at the reunion. And like, no, hold your ground and really hold these people accountable for how they treat you and what they do. And I feel like she just like, oh, okay, like, let's hug. No. So anyway, Sutton was kind of defending Kyle. And then Bose was like, well, no, it makes sense why Dorit would be mad, because, things change, as maybe something that was cute before isn't cute now that the relationship is different, which makes sense. that makes sense. Like, sure, you can joke with my husband while we're together, while we're friends, or while I think we're good friends. But after you say that, no, you're not good friends with me, I'm just imagining this friendship. You don't reach out to me after I announce my separation. Then you're a total bitch to me afterwards. Guess what? You shouldn't be texting my husband after that. That's not rocket science. So, but I agree with Bose. And then Sutton like rolls her eyes when Bose made that very good point. And then Kyle was kind of like trying to dismiss Bose as well. And was like, well, you don't know the history. Like, and then in the confessional, she's like, people, some people don't know the history and Dorit knows that. And this is just her way to make me look like the asshole. And I'm like, you don't need Dorit for that. Just saying. So next scene is Sutton's country club day. Kyle and Garcelle come over to play. Before Garcelle gets there, Kyle is like, I still have my panties in a twist. I'm like, girl, no one wants to hear about your panties. I know it's an expression, but bleh. Because the way Kyle walks, it always looks like her panties are in a twist. Like, she walks like something's up there. Ugh. Anyway, so she's like, I still have my panties in a twist from last night. I just lost it. I just blacked out. And yeah, the vein only comes out like when I'm really mad, like when I was mad with Camille Grammer. And I'm like, okay, cool. So Sutton, basically said in her confessional that Kyle doesn't like it when people stand up to her. And that's true. Yeah. Kyle always plays victim, or she gets defensive, or she like blanks them and just like ignores them for a while. So yeah, she has a problem with confrontation, even if they're trying to be productive with it. So then Garcelle arrives and she brings up the Viper Room, and Kyle kind of like reiterates, oh, I was so angry, I blacked out, blah, 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 whatever. So then they hit some tennis balls. Garcelle just wants to sit and have a cocktail. She's like, I'm not playing. So she pretends that she's hurt. So then they sit down, and Kyle mentions that Mauricio was the first call that she made this morning. And he agrees that it's so stupid that she can't be friends with PK anymore. I'm wondering what version of the story she told. Because, I feel like two things might have happened. One, she gave Mauricio a very slanted idea of what actually happened and, added her own sauce to the story to make it favorable to her, which I'm sure she did. Or two, Mauricio was out living his life, driving, had his other girl in the front seat, and was like, oh, wow, that's crazy. Yeah, that's so stupid. Yeah, okay, God, bye. Like, Mauricio, like, doesn't care. So she's like, yeah, Mauricio said it's the stupidest thing he ever heard. And then Garcelle actually jumped in and was like, truthfully, I would feel the same way as Dorit. I would have a problem with it too. And then that's when Sutton jumps in, like, yeah, me too. And Garcelle was like, I feel like and then Kyle was like, well, you had a really different situation. And Garcelle was like, no, not really. I mean, our situations were really similar, minus the infidelity. Sutton. This is where Sutton won some points with me this season, because she's a mess. So Sutton, very casually, they're just sitting nicely at their little country club day, drinking iced tea, very calm. And Sutton so casually looks at Kyle and was like, yeah, but you had infidelity too. She said, let's not forget that part. Kyle was gagged. Here goes Kyle playing dumb. Who? What? Huh? When? Wait, what? When? Huh? And Sutton stood firm. She was like, you. She's like, who did? You. When? You told us last year. Like, she was on it. And Garcelle said in her confessional, like, yeah, this is something that we have heard for years. No one's ever addressed it. So yeah. So then Kyle tries to clean it up, and she's like, oh, you mean Instagram? Yeah, I didn't like him talking to people on Instagram, but yeah, that but we never had infidelity. But yeah, Instagram. You mean Instagram? And then they asked in a confessional to Sutton, oh, were you talking about him talking to people on Instagram? Sutton's like, no. So good. So then Kyle changed that subject quick. Then she changes it and was like, well, I just don't like the way that Dorit's going about this. Like, I don't even know this girl, whatever. So Sutton asks again, is it just memes? Here go Kyle. Blah, 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 blah. She's stuttering, can't get the words out. She's like, we do send some texts, but nothing bad. And she's like, you know what, at this point, I don't even know Dorit. I don't have any incentive to be her friend. Like, who wants to be around that? And then Garcelle and Sutton were like, not me neither, whatever, not it. So next scene is Erica furniture shopping. I am so tired of this furniture storyline, but I'm going to let her slide because she's been kind of the go-between between Kyle and Dorit. So fine. Dorit joins her. Dorit looked bomb. I loved that, those really pointy shoulders of her shirt. I loved it. Yes. So there's a confessional of Erica. She had a confessional about when I left Tom's house, same story. I didn't take too much, but then she shares a little more and says, Tom's ex-wife, wife number 2, backed up an 18-wheeler and took a lot of stuff and left. And she's like, I was trying to be nice. So I guess she's supposed to get a cookie for that. So Erica and Dorit talk about, the fact that Erica's moving on and in a better space and, just taking the steps to really update her space. And Dorit says, Erica asked Dorit, how she's doing, how she's feeling about that crazy night at the Viper Room. And Dorit's like, I just really appreciate you because you and Bose have been the only ones I've confided in. And she kind of, basically says, speaking of Bose, it's crazy that people have a problem with me being friends with her. And they cut to a scene of Erica, Bose, and Dorit hiking. And I think Dorit brought up that Sutton said, Bose shares how Sutton pointed out how close Dorit and Bose are. And Dorit's in a confessional just saying how elementary it is. And I agree. Every group, there is an inner group or a duo that's just tighter. That's just the way it is. And the fact that someone new came in the group, I am not getting the vibe that Bose is closed off to anyone. I haven't seen until this episode anyone make an effort to get to know Bose and include her and meet with her one-on-one. Maybe these things happened off camera, but in the episodes we've seen, this is what, episode 7? And she's just now having one-on-ones with other people outside of Dorit. So I don't like that Sutton's like, oh, we can't make an effort because you're hanging out with Dorit. And it's like, that's not true. And Bose is smart, so Bose is kind of observing all of this. And plus, speaking of observing, Bose has been observing the group and you guys have been acting crazy. So yeah, Bose is rightfully maybe a little trepidatious of trying to get to know you guys. But you also, when it's an established group, I feel like the onus is on the group to welcome this person in as long as that person is open and approachable and kind. But I think the effort should be on the people bringing the person in and not the other person just trying to weasel their way in. My opinion. So then the next scene, Bose is getting ready to have surgery, and I just commend her for using her platform to kind of bring awareness because so many women, especially women of color, have to deal with fibroids. Sometimes they are, there's no symptoms or no issues, but sometimes they impact pregnancy and it becomes a life and death or death situation. And so I'm just glad that she was able to use her platform for that. She said that she wants her surgery for aesthetic reasons. She's trying to keep that tummy tight and right and flat. But then she also says that she wants to be able to carry a child for her boyfriend, Keely. So she is dating someone who hasn't had kids, hasn't been married, and he's 48, she's 47, and she says that's something that they're working towards or talking about, and she wants to be able to do that for him. And it would be a really hard conversation to have if it turns out that she can't. So best of luck to her. That's crazy. I know it can be done. And best of luck. Carrying a baby is hard. She seems really fit and strong. It's just hard. I'm just tired. I don't know. But I have a younger child. She has a teenager. So, and at the teenager stage, it's not as much as um of being like super hands-on. Obviously, you need to be present and all that stuff, but maybe Booze is less tired than me. I don't know. I just can't imagine like being older and doing it again. But there's probably a benefit of being able to like really focus on this baby because you have someone who is already older and self-sufficient. So best of luck to them. I hope they figure it out. And yeah, and let me know if you guys think it's a red flag that Keely has never been married and never had kids at the age of 48. I'm going back and forth. So far, he hasn't shown any red flags. We've only seen him twice though. But some people, you get that like red flag vibe immediately. I'm thinking Louis Ruelas. But so far, I haven't seen that. Some people think it's a red flag and it's weird and it's strange. I don't know. My mind didn't immediately go there when I heard it. I knew that other people would think it's a red flag, but personally, I was like, okay. I don't know. I feel like we're just in a day and age of like, some people, like, people don't want to force it just because I'm 30 or just because I'm 35, just because I'm almost 40, I better get married and have a kid. Like, some people, yes, some people, like, that happens naturally. Not everyone is forcing it. That happens naturally by their like milestones or by the traditional time frames. But then there are some people that are like, no, I'm invested in my career, or I like traveling, or I like partying, or I have a lot of kids in my life who I love, or I don't like kids right now. I don't want kids, and I'm not going to go out of my way to have them if I'm unsure. So I don't know. I feel like I didn't immediately have red flags didn't immediately go off. But I'm watching you, Keely. I'm watching you. So we'll see. So the next scene, so then she comes home from a successful surgery, and Keely's really supportive and sweet. Then Kyle comes to visit Bose, and she says in the confessional, Bose is a great fit for the group, but, her comments in the Viper Room really hurt me. Kyle, shut up. Kyle. Everything always hurts you, but you can cuss and yell and buck up in people's faces, and people are supposed to take it. Shut it up. Everything just offends Kyle. And it's sad because I used to be such a Kyle fan, but right around season like 5 or 6 when Yolanda came, whenever that season was, I started looking at her like, oh, you sneaky. I don't, And yeah, some people are like, well, I didn't like her as soon as I saw the limo scene. Yeah, the limo scene was terrible with her and Kim, but I was like, okay, this is season 1, and we don't know their background, and we don't know what has all happened to get to that point. So that's why I gave her a pass for that. It was still foul, but I gave her a pass, and I generally liked her. And then, like I said, later on in the next few seasons, I started like really watching how she moves, and I was like, ugh. And it's just been getting progressively worse. So I'm over Miss Richards. Speaking of Miss Richards, I do want to give her props though, because one thing that she's really good at, I've noticed, is having one-on-one scenes with everyone in the group. And I don't know if everyone does this and not everyone is shown, but I feel like Kyle specifically always has her one-on-one scenes. Like, in general, she has the scenes, but then she also, like, production also airs them. And to me, I'm just like, okay, that's a really good way for her to keep her firm footing in the group. Because we noticed how at the end of last year, Dorit was kind of on the edge because she offended Garcelle, she offended Crystal. Her and Sutton never really got along. She got in it with Kyle. And then Rinna left. And then she was like okay with Erica, even though they had their own kind of back and forth at some of the reunion. But she was kind of on the fringe because she did not take the time to invest in one-on-one relationships through the group. And obviously Kyle is closer to some people, like she's closer to Erica than she is Garcelle, but she still makes the effort to meet with Garcelle. We saw her have that one-on-one, like, oh, how did I offend you? Like, let's talk about it. Like, we see her have these one-on-one moments that is really critical in the strategy of a housewife. So I appreciate that from Kyle. Keep that up, Kyle. However, I don't think you need to have your strategy while someone is recovering from surgery. That was a little like too much. It was like, girl, go to lunch. Like, why is the first time we're talking, it's because I'm in bed in pain and you're just like showing up like, so that was the only thing. And I love, love, love how smart Bose is, and how even though Bose is super smart, she has common sense and she's able to like sniff out the BS. And she was like, maybe Kyle wants to kind of help me have a more balanced view of her. Or maybe she just wants to win me over to her side. And I was like, ding, ding, ding. I was like, yes, Bose, clock it, clock it, clock it. I love Bose's takes on all of this stuff. It is so refreshing. I'm just like, yes, yes. Because she's saying like, I'm just like, other people would fall for it, like Sutton, or, like, oh, the OG is talking to me, yay. And Bose is like, girl, why are you over here? So I love it. So they start talking and about the Viper Room, of course. And Kyle says to Bose, I just was so fired up because Dorit insinuated something inappropriate and I'm not that girl. I'm not that girl. Bose gives her perspective that, hey, Dorit probably thinks she's closer to you than you consider yourself to her. And she basically just kind of gives an example in her own friend group that Bose has so many friends and so many besties. And when she goes out with one bestie, her other bestie calls her like, hey, why did you go out without me? Blah, blah, blah. So, and it's really about managing expectations and kind of like, hey, what are we? Like maybe in these friendships, you need to kind of have that define the relationship so that one person's not like, okay, we're besties. And the other person's like, yeah, girl, I know you. I work with you. So maybe we all need to just adopt that. But I really liked her assessment. And Crystal Kung Minkoff, who was on the show and now has her own podcast with Cynthia Bailey, she actually said that exact thing of, I think Kyle has a lot of friends and considers Dorit a friend, but Dorit may not have as many friends and considers Kyle like one of her best friends. And then when you have mismatched expectations, problems may ensue. So Bose really made a good point with that. Then here comes Kyle lying. Well, if she considered me close, you would think that she would tell me about what's going on. And Bose is like, oh, she didn't? Cut to Dorit telling her, hey, I don't know if this marriage can survive. This is the first time I'm questioning things. He's away all the time. We're having these problems. I'm like, ooh, thank you, production. Thank you for once, like showing us the real Kyle. And again, Bose is still kind of taking it with a grain of salt because she's like, well, Dorit opened up to me in 3 minutes of knowing her. So, okay, that's interesting that Kyle feels that, but okay. Like, I love Bose is just kind of taking things in and, like, she's not doing too much. She's letting people kind of, like, hang themselves, essentially. Like, she's like, okay. Like, just kind of, she has a really good temperature, a really good pulse on the whole situation. And then she tells Bose tells Kyle, Dorit, I think she wanted you to show the text because, the fact that you got so defensive and then you didn't show the text, it gave Dorit pause. And Kyle had the nerve to say, well, maybe that's her problem. Like maybe if someone calls someone else manipulative, maybe they're manipulative themselves. I have watched this show for years. So Kyle, I know your history and I know you, season 1, wasn't it? Season 1 or season 2? You telling Vanderpump she was manipulative and bringing that to the forefront, and you're strategic and you're like a chess player and every move is so calculated. So does that mean that's what you do? Because that storyline never left LVP. I'm not saying LVP's without fault, but that got the ball rolling of, oh, she's manipulative, she's a puppet master, she's this, she's that. So does that mean that's what you are, Kyle? Because you said that about LVP. Let's give a recent example. Last season, or maybe the season before, you said that Crystal was manipulative. So because you're calling her that, does that mean that you are too? Huh? Oh, okay. So, can I just say, side note, Bose looks gorgeous. Like, I don't understand how you could be post-surgery and, like, look this good. I would be in there, like, she looks amazing. Hair done. I love the, like, silky pajamas. Like, I need to get me some nice pajamas. Like, I literally have, like, Christmas flannel pajamas and then, like, mismatch, like, outfits. I need to, like, invest in some nice, silky, sexy pajamas to elevate my life. But anyway, so Bose looks great. So then Kyle flops again, essentially, and tries to, like, deflect her behavior by saying, well, you know what, let me show you something. Let me show you something. And she shows, like, a screenshot of when Dorit kissed Mo on the shoulder when they had a group hug after Dorit's robbery. And she's like, yeah, everyone was saying that, you know, her and Mo had a thing and she had to deny it. And, you know, it just became a big thing. So don't you dare come at me and talk to me about some memes. Girl, what? Like, you can't bring that up. That's old. And when it was brought up, you said you denied it. So therefore it's dead. It's not like you said, yeah, that's something that worries me, or that, you know, started planting seeds of distrust. I think it's planted seeds of jealousy, quite frankly. And a lot of this has to do with that. That's part of their issue. But she never addressed it. And the fact that you have said, oh no, that's so silly, like you all denied it, and still claim to be friends afterwards, it's now dead, honey. You don't get to dig up something from years ago and try to make it a thing. It's not a thing. Stop trying to make fetch happen, okay? Stop. So she's grasping at straws. She flopped again. And then Dorit says, oh, well, you know, like, out of principle, Dorit can F off. I was like, stop with all that cussing. You just met this lady. You're in her house. Some people don't like cursing in the sanctuary. Like, I don't want all that rah-rah in my bedroom or in my safe, cozy space. Like, be respectful. So she's like, she can F off. And then Bose was like, in her confessional said, you know, a hit dog will holler. I love that she is, like, noticing all this. So that was that. So then the next scene is a pizza party, and Garcelle and Kyle go to Sutton's house, and they're planning to surprise Erica. Erica was butthurt that Kyle got a pizza party as she was going through her divorce or her separation with Mo. And she had said in her confessional, or had said in a separate scene with her therapist, you know, I never got a pizza party. But she had also, they did a flashback, and she also said it to the girls, like, yeah, you guys never did this for me. And so they're trying to surprise her and just kind of, you know, apologize for that. So they pack up some roadies. I clocked it. I was like, are they drinking? I said, I'm not mad at that. They packed up some roadies and they got on the road. They weren't driving. There was someone driving them. So then they pick up Erica. They put a blindfold on her. And then when they get to their destination, they take off the blindfold and they see that they're at Chuck E. Cheese. And so Erica was in good spirits. I thought it was cute. And Erica was like, oh, that's kind of cute. She was like, could have sworn we were going somewhere fancier, but no, this is cool. So first of all, I didn't know Chuck E. Cheese was still in business. The one by us closed. I thought they were all bankrupt, but cool. I guess there's some still standing. So rock on. So they, play games, whatever. So then they sit down and eat. And that pizza looked pretty good. And there were a few people saying that Chuck E. Cheese pizza was good. And I'm like, damn, now I want some. Oh my gosh. So they talk about like just moving on and, the way Erica's been able to pick up the pieces and move on. And yes, it's great, but I'm done. I'm done with the storyline. If she comes back next season, we need a new storyline. We get it. Enough. But anyway, she's like, yeah, it's been great, blah, blah, blah. And I'm making my place my own. I'm picking up the pieces, blah, blah, blah. Fine. They also mentioned, hey, Kyle, this is good for you, that you're also being strong for your girls. But Garcelle made a note, like, it's still kind of strange that she talks to Mo so much, but maybe they'll work it out. And it's still fresh. And neither of them know what they want. So hopefully they figure it out soon. And then Garcelle says, I'm just going to be blunt. Like, I want you to be who you want to be, Kyle. If you want to be a lesbian, be a lesbian. And Erica just covered her face with a plate. So I knew that caused some waves. That was good. And, they all kind of chuckled. But then in the after show, Kyle once again, okay, I'm going to remember that. And that hurt me. Oh, she just wanted... Oh, shut up, Kyle. Ugh. So, again, Erica said in her confessional that Garcelle was like, yeah, she says a lot of what we're thinking a lot of the time. So I'm glad that she said it. And Garcelle doubled down. She was like, no, like, you're successful, you're grown, you lived your life, like, enjoy it. Don't try to, like, put on airs, like, be who you want to be. So, I mean, I honestly think it's a good message. It wasn't in the prettiest package, but I mean, at this point, Kyle, I don't care. Like, it's not even... It would have been exciting if you owned up to it last year. And I understand you have kids and a family and it's not something to like play around with, but you can't like just dangle it in front of our faces only to say, it's none of your effing business, but like then pick a lane, because we're seeing you're laying all these breadcrumbs and they're not going anywhere. And now I'm over it. I don't care. And then this season you want to come in like, oh, we're not going to say Morgan's name. Girl, no one cares. So in the words of Garcelle, if you want to be a lesbian, be a lesbian. I wish you happiness, but just keep it off my screen. I do not care. Do not care. It's not interesting anymore. I don't care about Morgan. I don't care who you're sleeping with, who you're getting a matching tattoo with. I don't care. Blech. So then Erica brings up Dorit and she was like, Dorit really kind of wants to know what she's up against with PK, and it would have helped if you let her see the text and just let her kind of brace herself for PK, because PK's behavior has been all over the place. And then Kyle says like, no, I'm not showing my phone. Like, I'm an adult. This is an effing joke. I'm not. Girl, why are you so defensive? Like, I get it. Like, on one hand, yes, I get it, saying, no, I'm an adult. Like, if you don't, why are you questioning my integrity? I get it. But, like, I feel like some things such as someone's marriage, if you had an ounce of respect for that person, like, if it's someone you don't know and the neighbor's like, I heard you were talking to my man, and let me see your phone. No, but if it's a friend, even if it's not a best friend, but if it's a friend who is like, I'm having this tough time, this man's all over the place, I really don't feel comfortable with my friends talking to him, like, are you sure you didn't say anything crazy? Like, are you sure? I don't know if that would be my immediate reaction, but I wouldn't be that defensive in saying, yeah, girl, like, here. No, like, you see, it's just memes, hee ha ha, LOL, like, no, but you know what? Like, hey, I get it, and I won't do that anymore. I wouldn't do it in the first place, but if I did slip up and offend someone in that way, I would just try to clean it up instead of being like, no, I'm an adult. Okay. So then Kyle says, right on the heels of saying, I'm not showing my phone, that's an effing joke. She's like, you know what? I will show you this one thing. So then she shows a screenshot, not the actual message, a screenshot saying, I know you have a lot of, this is what she said to PK when the separation was announced. I know you have a lot of friends, but I'm one also if you need me. I never repeated anything you shared with me, and I never will. We'll keep sending memes and won't forget laughing emojis. Garcelle and Sutton locked eyes like, bitch. You know they went home that night. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, you volunteered this, Kyle? You should have kept that to yourself. That was bad. Because it was very like, obviously the words themselves were not bad. It wasn't like, oh, PK, come and get this. It wasn't that. But it was like, it was intimate. It was, I never repeated anything and I never will. And just know I'm here for you. But you couldn't muster up to text Dorit. It's odd because you know PK through Dorit. You did not have an existing relationship with him. So why are you reaching out to him when the separation was announced, but not her? Either reach out to Dorit, reach out to both, or don't reach out to neither of them. But I think that's very inappropriate, highly inappropriate to only reach out to him. And then it's very much like showing that there's a connection there and there's a confidence between them. Like, I've never repeated anything and I never will. What? So what does he be saying? And then it was like holding space for like the future of their relationship. And I'm saying this lightly. I know she's not interested romantically in him, but then it's like, and we'll keep having laugh together and we'll keep sending memes and we'll keep. Highly inappropriate. Very weird. That's some weird shit, Kyle. That's weird. Because you know if that was Mauricio, Vane would have been a poppin'. So all the girls like clock that she's a liar. And then Kyle says, you know, I'm not going to have her paint me out to be something I'm not. And I don't ever want to be her friend. Like she said this like all episode. I don't ever want to repair with her. I don't want to be her friend. And then we see them out at different events and they look pretty chummy. So, okay. So then last scene, Garcelle goes to visit Bose. And I was excited. I was like, yay. Like I want to see them talk and joke and like have that connection. And I was like, yay. So she brings over some Jamaican food. I said, yes. And I live for Bose's house, her great staff, her like just the overall energy and aura and the decor of her house. And I actually want to be aware that I know she posted something about her house being damaged or destroyed in the fire. I'm not sure if it was the one that we saw or if she had another property, but either way, that is so devastating. And I'm sorry for anyone that has to deal with that. That is unimaginable, just burden and grief and sadness. So I'm so sorry for anyone that has to deal with that. And I'm so sorry if Bose lost this gorgeous house. Hopefully she was able to save important mementos and, hopefully she'll be able to rebuild again. But I did want to just acknowledge that. So as they sit down, Bose starts to say, I'm so glad we have a chance to do this. And I was so hopeful that the conversation would, even if it was just a little bit of a Black girl magic, like I see you, we see each other, like let's support each other, let's big up each other, like let's kiki. Like I wanted to see that connection because we haven't seen it on Beverly Hills. And I was just like thirsty for it. But like Bose couldn't even get her sentence out. And Garcelle was like, Dorit is up your coochie. And I'm like, oh, like really? And I understand that you have a show to do and you have to kind of keep this story going. I get it. But I just would have unless production cut it out, unless production, chopped and screwed this scene. But I would have liked to see some like sisterly bonding or a formation of a bond before it was just like, let's talk about the show and let's talk about Dorit and let's, So, yeah, that was a missed opportunity to show the viewers more, whether it was on production or whether it was on Garcelle. So Bo says, it's kind of strange that everyone has an opinion on our friendship, but whatever. Garcelle says that her and Dorit have never been able to move forward because it seems like they take some strides and then they take steps back. And then and Bose asked why, and she was like, oh, because she talks a lot. And I was like, tell her about the microaggressions. I think Bose would understand that. Again, unless it was cut out, but it's weird that you keep saying she talks a lot, but then you keep asking her questions and you keep trying to talk to her. So like, which one is it? And Bose kind of mentions that she wants to be the bridge between Dorit and Kyle, and then Garcelle brings up the text from Kyle, and she was like, well, actually, we got some more insight in her communication with PK, and this is what she said. So she, recalls the best she can the text that Kyle had sent PK that she read at the pizza party. And I think Garcelle was trying to carry that bone and try to put a battery in Bose's back so that Bose would take that back to Dorit or back to the group. But Bose is on top of it, and Bose was like, she gave her like a silly reaction, like, oh, I can't compute. Oh my God, this is so crazy. So giving her a reaction without giving like her true feelings on the reaction, smart. And then she was like, oh, so who's going to tell her? And before Garcelle said anything, she was like, you're going to tell her. I said. So Bose was like, I am not falling in this trap. You carry this bone, pick it on up and go carry it to Dorit. Don't involve me in it. So this was a really good episode. I'm hoping that the season picks up. I am hoping that we start seeing more story and more interesting things rather than Kyle and Dorit. We, the viewers, had enough. Like, we get it. And from the looks of it, they're fine now. So I don't care. It was a good way to kind of pop off the season, but we're 7 seasons in, and I pray this isn't the main storyline. But this was a good one. It was a good one for the books. I'm excited to keep posting and watching the rest of the season. So I pray we have a good season. Like I said, started off kind of slow, but starting to pick up, or at least I hope it is. So let me know your thoughts. Are you here for the Dorit and Kyle storyline, or do you want to see more storylines? How are you feeling about Bose? How are you feeling about the Garcelle Sutton kind of, slight fall from grace? A lot of, viewers have been having some different opinions about them. Who are you really enjoying this season? Let me know your thoughts on this season so far. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.